A lot of people don't know the history. They get caught up in this or that side. I'm not saying that there's not ample place to criticize the actions of Israel, but I think that this was kind of always intended to be a powder keg. They set this up as a situation where the British Empire could have an outpost. There was a British mandate that the British power structure put in place. Ultimately, we know via Lord Balfour that was a Rothschild operation to set up the nation state of Israel. But a lot of the British power structure also supported, they were rabidly pro-Arab. So they supported Islam. They had a fascination with Islam. They had another faction that had a fascination with, via Lord Rothschild, the Jews and the future Zionist state that they intended to set up. So it was always a powder keg. They played both sides. There was even some really interesting skullduggery where the British wouldn't let, the Labor Party actually wouldn't let Jews immigrate to Israel when they were being persecuted. And so this actually intentionally helped to cause a lot of the suffering of World War II. And they also, the British Empire goaded Hitler into going into that region on purpose. They had a dual appeasement program. Carroll Quigley talks about the British government, the Bank of England, giving Hitler $2 billion of Czechoslovakian gold and telling him that if he went into Poland, that they wouldn't oppose him. Meanwhile, they publicly were opposing him with a secret backdoor deal. And this kicked off World War II. And as part of that British mandate, a lot of the Jews got angry, and so they started rebelling against their British overlords. And they had the Irgun, the Stern Gang, and this is really where we get the nascent Israeli government, what will eventually be their security services. So it's a long, wild history, and I think that initially it played a key role in, like I said, the Anglo-American establishment wanting to have a outpost. But I think the Israeli power structure has really grown to have a lot of influence in America. They have a lot of say-so. And so I think now they're really pressuring Washington and other places to support them no matter what. And it's because they want to have this Oded Yanon plan that they planned prior to 9/11, which is to have this micronations dividing up the Middle East according to what Israel wants. So that's what's going on there. It does, to a degree, play into other power structures outside of the Middle East and corporate interests and all that. It also ties into the Western operations in Ukraine, actually. So there's a lot of deep, heavy stuff going on here, but I think it's a powder keg, and I think they always wanted to have a managed dialectic and to kick it off when it was necessary.
Is this going to be the eventual end of Palestine and the military move into other regions? Is this what we're really looking at this time period, Jay?
It looks like it,
100%.
if I recall. Yeah, it looks like it. In fact, if I recall, part of the Oded Yanon plan was to reclaim any area that wasn't specifically the nation state of Israel. And so, the British, again, partly the British Empire didn't want that for many, many years. That's why there was this, bombing at the King David Hotel and this attempt to get rid of the British imperial structure there. So now, unfettered, I guess you could say, there is the desire to go ahead and claim anything that was not previously a part of the new Israeli government. So that would seem to be the case to claim these territories and to tap into resources in these areas as well. So there's a lot going on. But yeah, I think that's been a long-term plan. I think that a lot of, not everything, but a lot of the war on terror played into this. And if I recall, I think Netanyahu attended some of the earliest conferences prior to there being a war on terror and discussed the possibility of the erecting of a future war on terror. I think Brzezinski even attended some of those meetings as well.
So now that we're looking at that, and you think that that's really on the table, what does that mean for the rest of the Middle East and the United States in general, right? Because first of all, I'm very suspect of the October 7th event. We know that U.S. Special Forces, at least in some capacity, were there. I've questioned why the Iron Dome failed, whether or not there was a stand down. It does seem like a delayed response. Immediately, the rhetoric that this was their 9/11. So we only got about a minute before the break. Break down where you think our role will be in the coming months.
Well, the expectation of our role, if you mean the U.S., is that we are supposed to give unfailing support to the power structure in the Israeli government, no matter what. Even if a lot of the Israelis are unhappy with their government, we're expected to support them no matter what, without criticism. However, it seems like much of the world is not on the side of Israel here. There's a lot of heavy criticism. So I don't think these were wise actions. I think that there's, again, like you said, many, many questions. We know that Hamas, for example, was originally created by Israel, so that's public information. So, why was this going on? Well, it seems like they needed an excuse with the existence of Hamas to continue the operations of, gradually taking over more of the Palestinian territory. So, I think the expectation for us is that we're supposed to continue to support the Israeli cause no matter what.